Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am KibbyRose. I am your lesbian Authortube psychic stoner. I am here to do something special today, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's get on with the show. Since I am new to the whole Authortube community, I was told that I should answer some questions. So from thanks to Sako and a couple other Authortubers, I was Googling the list of questions, and I'm here to answer some of them for you. So this is my first time doing any sort of like question answer type video thing. So I'm going to give it a shot, see how it goes. So first question, number 1. How did you find out about Authortube? My venture to Authortube was actually kind of interesting. COVID, like everyone else, sent me into the rabbit holes of YouTube, and I stumbled upon Savvy Writes Books simply because they were a morning guru channel that was recommended to me, and I jumped on it because I was on this whole I used to do Mary Kay, and I was on this whole anti-MLM trip, and it led me to to Savvy's channel. And then from Savvy's channel, I actually did an interview regarding my crossing over experience because I died in 2017. And from there, I found Sako to me and her channel. And then it just grew from there. I was invited to Sako's Discord channel, and it blew up from there. The episode that I happened to run into Savvy's channel on after watching a bunch of old MLM videos that they did was during her the Sean Boston book. And I watched them write the whole Cancel Sean Boston book. And that literally inspired me to start rewriting my old novel that I started 20 plus years ago, but I hadn't done. So that's how I found the Authortube community. Number 2, what genres do you write in? I wouldn't call myself a classical writer or a typical writer whatsoever. I'm an oddball, to tell you the truth. Reading was never really my forte. My sister was more of the reader. Granted, I did read, certain books that I was interested in my youth, but truthfully, anybody that knew me in high school knew that English was not my strong suit, and reading always was so slow for me because instead of reading the words on the page, I literally see a movie in my mind. And sometimes that movie will get more vivid than what is written on the page. And I find myself ended up getting lost and distracted. So I kind of write, my book is covering all sorts of genre, from fiction and fantasy to some reality-based sense to, it really does cover so many genres when it comes to what it is. Honestly, I haven't really come up with a way to be able to explain my full book yet. And I don't think I will until I actually finish it, because I'm already at 90,000 words, not even a third into the story. I would say I'm maybe pushing a fourth of the way into the story. So I know it's a coming of age story, but it's not really a coming of age story because the person already came of age. Like I said, I don't know exactly. I can't, to truthfully answer that question, I can't really answer it. I think fantasy fiction, if I'm going to take a stab in the dark with that. Okay. Number 3, what is your preferred writing tense? I battle between tenses. Like I said, because I'm a little bit different than other creators, I am still struggling with the whole, I'm sure whatever editor that I get, oh God, they're going to have to be so like, please forgive me. I'm sending the energy out there now. Please forgive me. Because I already know that I struggle with the tenses. I already know. Actually, one of my key indicators that I struggle with tenses was when I wrote the original version of my book. I handed it to my mom, who is an English major, to read. And she handed it back to me literally within 10 minutes. And she said, I can't read that. And she never really explained to me why, and I don't know if she could, but now that I look back on it, I'm like, she's an English major. She has her master's in English. Me switching up tenses within the first like 5 paragraphs, I could totally see my mom just being like, I can't. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to fix it. It's something that on my 0 draft right now, I'm kind of trying to pay attention to it, but not really. Once I go over my 0 draft again, like actually go over the first draft, that's something that I know that I'm going to have to pay attention to. Okay, and the question number 4, I actually had to look up what they were asking with this question, and the question is, are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plancer? And I was like, oh, a what? A what? So I actually had to look it up, and from what I have been told in discussion with other Authortubers and from the definitions that I read, I think I'm a plancer. I'm going to say I'm a plancer until I'm corrected otherwise, because I could be wrong, but I think I'm a plancer because I plan a little bit, but for the most part, I honestly fly off the seat of my pants. My book is based on dreams I have had since I was, I don't even know, 7 or 8. My second boyfriend, it was actually while I was dating him that I started having these dreams where I was so scared of the dream, because if something happened in the dream, which ends up being a sequence in the storyline, and I didn't do it right, the dream would repeat until I got it right. And there was one point when it got to a car accident, and I had to die in that car accident. I don't know how many times until I figured out how to survive it. And it literally hit a point where I looked at my boyfriend across the bed and said, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to sleep. I am scared to go to sleep because I don't want to dream about it again. And he suggested to write it down. And I talked to my counselor about it, and she was like, I think that's a good idea. So that's what I did. And that's how this whole thing pretty much started. So Mr. B, you know who you are. I do owe you a thank you for encouraging me to write down those dreams, because I'm kind of trying to make up something of it. All right. And so on to number 5. Are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am yet to be published. And I'm going to skip over that question because I think I've kind of explained enough in the last 5 of, I'm sure you can figure out why I'm not published yet. Number 6, what is your dream publishing house or literary agent? I really haven't even thought about this yet. This will honestly be the 5th time I have written this book. The first time the first draft I wrote, I actually sent off to a publishing company, and they were interested in it at the time. But I couldn't dedicate my time to it the way that I can now. Do I kind of feel upset that I didn't pursue it then? Yes. Is it something that I am looking to do now? I don't know. I've heard a lot of both positive and negative things about having your book published by a big agency. I've also heard a lot of positive and negatives when it comes to publishing to self-publishing. Truthfully, I don't think I'll make that decision until I finish at least the first book of the series and get a kind of feedback from, different people as to how it is. And then I'll go for there. Am I like everyone else where I kind of wish it'll hit a craze and take off and become a huge endeavor? Sure. Why not? I mean, I dream big, but I will just be happy to maybe publish this book and finally put to rest a lot of these dreams that still every once in a while do pop up in my head, almost as a reminder, like, hey, write us down. So, all right. Number 7. We're on number 7. What YouTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? I am expanding. I started with sprints, which I'm still going to do because anyone who knows me with my ADHD and my psychic abilities, keeping me focused and on task is like, oh, it's a feat in and of itself. So I will definitely still be doing my writing sprints Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But there's a lot of people in the Authortube community that don't have an outlet to be able to talk about their book before it gets published. Hey y'all, Editing Kibby here. Just letting you know there's a jump in the clip here because instead of doing Mental Mondays, which was our original plan, because of the current atmosphere and social media, we decided we're going to change it up to Psychic Mondays instead. So, in reference to that, if there's any of you out there that are watching in this that want a psychic read on Mondays, hit me up in the DMs and we'll talk and I'll let you know. We'll see what happens. Back to the show. Well, to finish number 7. So basically what you can expect on my channel is, long story short, I'm going to be doing Authortube interviews where Authortubers that are with me and, follow me and I follow them, kind of these vlog type things where I'm going to be giving out some fun facts, some interesting facts, kind of in correlation to the mental awareness. And then the final project is actually my ACAC, or AC squared, acknowledgement, conversation, accountability, and change, which also goes along with the Mental Mondays, but it's giving examples how that's a motto I've created in my own life after years of therapy that has helped me get through so many situations. And I want to be able to share that. Okay, so number 8, when did you start writing? I remember being that kid in like 4th or 5th grade that when the teacher was like, all right, everybody pull out your pen. We're going to write a story. I was like, yeah! Give me a fun little fact here. And to my 1st grade teacher, Mrs. Middleton, I'm sorry. Basically what happened is evidently we had an assignment in 1st grade to practice fire drills. And of course I went home and was adamant about my homework because my mom's a teacher, my dad's a cop, fire drill, right in line with my parents. We did the fire drill. Next day I go to school. Evidently the story I told in class was so realistic that my teacher called my mom to tell her, give her condolences on the fact that we lost some stuff in a fire in our house. And I remember my mom telling me the story, and it was so funny to me because she said she was standing in the kitchen and she was on the phone with Mrs. Middleton, and and they were on a first name basis because my mother was a teacher. I'm not going to say her first name, but she said, Mrs. or whatever her name is, I'm standing in my house. You called me at my house. And my mom said that she went, oh my gosh, her story was so realistic. So I evidently had a very creative imagination. Very young. So writing stories just kind of comes naturally, I guess. I'm a performer. What do you want? My parents forbade me from ever performing. So number 9, what was the first story you ever wrote? I'm actually better at being a storyteller. I will sit and before video recording, I do a little bit more of it now, but I would sit and just tell a story to myself in my room. Granted, for those of you that believe, I usually have a group of angels that sit with me and, and we talk and I tell stories. But for the most part, I never really wrote them down. I probably should have. I would never felt encouraged in school to write the stories or write anything like that. And, like I said, English was such a struggle for me anyway. Let's not even get me on spelling. For all of you in my generation who remember what it was like to live without spell check. Okay, can I just say? Anyway, So I couldn't tell you what the first story I ever wrote because I honestly don't remember. Number 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Well, one of these I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate for, but again, y'all remember I haven't read that much, okay? So don't everybody attack me at once. The first author is Dan Brown. Dan Brown is actually the one of two authors, the other one I'm going to name, where I have read every single book that they've written, and not only read it, but like 2 or 3 times. Like those books were worn out. So I'm going to say. So, and my favorite of his is actually The Amber Room. So in case anybody is interested. The second author, guys, I'm Wiccan, fantasy. So I'm sure you can figure it out. J.K. Rowling. I know she's very controversial. The thing about me is I can appreciate somebody for what they've done or what they've accomplished or what they achieved, even if I don't necessarily agree with their personal views or what they do in their personal life. I can appreciate somebody for their accomplishments. And that's kind of where I stand with a lot of famous people, honestly, and especially JK, is I don't necessarily agree with what things have come out of her mouth at sometimes, but I can commemorate her for her accomplishment because those books are amazing. I mean, we have to give credit where credit is due sometimes, even if we don't necessarily like the source of things. I mean, truth be known, a lot of technology and a lot of scientific advancements came from something that a lot of people don't want to admit happened, and we're still having controversies over. Poor Whoopi Goldberg. And you guys can probably tell that this is an inspiration for me, which is kind of funny because yeah. And I'm reading it again, surprisingly, but yes, y'all. The girl that says she hates to read. And it in case any of you are wondering, it's Old English, so it's not 100% easy read. But I also found out that I like this book so much because it is in Old English, and it makes me concentrate on the words more, and so the movie doesn't go as fast in my mind, and I can pay attention to the story. But I have read that probably 2 or 3 times. So those are my favorite authors. Okay, number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I do both. I am my own boss. I am a professional psychic, and I work for a company for about 10 hours a week on that end. I have my private clients that I also do. I also have an art business with my roommate that I help support. And then I have my YouTube channel. So I tend to have a very sporadic schedule depending on what it needs to be accomplished that day and who needs me for where and what. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I do my writing sprints, and that's usually when I get the most of my work done in regards to actually pounding out the story. I do a lot of book Bible notes and like side notes throughout the day, and I do poetry. I wish I could have been a professional like dance performer. I should have been a backup dancer. That's probably what I would have really loved doing. But number 12, do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? I use a blend of those. I do write by hand. My book Bible is completely by hand. So that is all by hand. But the book itself and the notes, like the quick outline, are both on my computer. And I do have old typed up notes and previous notes from the earlier versions of the book that are both printed out and handwritten. And the last question, last but not least, number 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you are part of Authortube? Learning. learning, learning, learning. A lot of you don't know it, but I am a huge replay crew. Granted, I do speed through the sprints, but I do sit and listen to the chitter chatter, and I learn. I learn a lot. From Sako's channel, I learn a lot. From Lisa Daly's channel, I learn a lot. Those two are the two main sources that I learn a lot from. Bonnie's channel, I do enjoy because it's conversation, and there is a lot of interesting facts that comes up in there. But for the most part, that's why I joined the Authortube community, to learn and to just have inspiration, have support. Yeah, true. Like, I just thought about, like, that was a big portion of it too, was finding a community where just writing my book wasn't a competition. When I talk to the Authortube community about my book, it's not an argument. It's not me trying to vindicate why I want to do it that way or what I want to do. It's an open conversation of suggestions and references and referrals and, you know, like all sorts of stuff that is just tricks of the trade that you can either, and I love it because nobody pushes it on you. It's like, here's what I do. This might help you. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, you know, whatever, at least I put it out there. And that's exactly how I do my psychic job. That's exactly how I do. That's kind of how I am. All right, everybody. I think that is the end. That is all 13 questions that I have answered. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you have made it this far and hung out with me this far, I much appreciate it. Go ahead and remember to hit that like and subscribe button, so when I do any videos like this, you'll be alerted. And remember, I am KibbyRose, your Authortube lesbian psychic stoner, and I will see you next time. Bye.